Davison filed a lawsuit that is as disappointing as it is transparently political. She is willing to help destroy small businesses, gun shops in this region in order to save her political career. And while I certainly think her career deserves to be saved, I think she has been very good as a Seattle city attorney. The way she's going about it is rather disgraceful. So she's suing Glock, the manufacturers of Glock pistols, arguing essentially that they're making it easier for modification via a Glock switch, which can turn this handgun into an automatic weapon. Speaking to Como, she said the design is just so easy it's negligible.
Their unique design makes it very easy to, within minutes, very cheaply, change their semi-automatic weapon to a fully automatic weapon. Maybe years ago it was 3 or 4 shots fired. Now it's 20, 30, 40, 90 shots fired. I'm asking them to match standards by their competitors, which is to make it difficult to convert their weapons into fully automatic weapons.
Let me translate what she's saying. She wants them to completely redesign a Glock. She wants the manufacturer of Glocks to completely redesign their signature pistol that is, I believe, the most popular handgun in the country. She just wants them to go ahead and do that because of a device that they don't make that is already illegal to purchase and use. That's her position. Now, if she was just going after Glock, well, I would obviously still be critical because it's a frivolous lawsuit. I can at least maybe push it aside because I don't like criticizing the one Republican in citywide office in Seattle, especially one that I like. But instead of that, she's focusing her office's resources on retailers who sell Glock pistols. Merely because they sell Glock pistols. And the argument is that if it's reckless and negligent for Glock to have a handgun that can so easily be changed into an automatic weapon, it's equally negligible to sell them. That's a pretty wild claim that does not make Seattle safer. Because it's not about making Seattle safer. It's about getting her reelected. She knows a progressive challenger is leading in her chance to become city attorney again. She knows that. You have to just look at the results of the primary. She got creamed. And she knows the activist class in Seattle already want her gone. Again, she's a Republican in the city of Seattle. That's very rare. It's nearly impossible to get elected. And frankly, the only reason she was able to get elected in the first place, she got lucky. She ran against Nicole Thomas Kennedy, whose entire campaign was quite literally about abolishing the very office she was running for. It took that kind of crazy person for a Republican to actually win. And she, I think, has done a pretty good job in her position. And as I said, I'm a supporter of Ann Davison. And up until this lawsuit, I was all about voting for her, even knowing it wasn't going to do her any good. But she knows this time around her chances of reelection are very, very, very slim. And what she did as a result is manufactured this crusade, not just against Glock, but against gun shops, all to curry favor with a block of voters who will never, ever, ever support her. Ever. You cannot placate these people as a Republican. They're not going to look at this and say, ooh, look, she's going after guns. She must be pretty okay. I guess I'll vote for her. They're not going to do that, especially because the opponent that they support won the primary. Why in the world would they say, well, I could continue to go with this winning candidate who's opposing the Republican, but the Republican did go after guns and gun shop owners, so I'll switch my vote. It doesn't make any sense. This is not just a frivolous lawsuit, but it's one that's not going to move anyone into her column. And the consequences of this kind of pandering are serious. They're real. Seattle has spent years punishing law-abiding gun owners while excusing the lawlessness. Gun stores that are being targeted here comply with every single federal and state requirement, every single one. And they end up getting dragged into court, forced to defend themselves, spend money on that merely because they sell Glocks. Not the device that turns the Glock into a semi or a fully automatic weapon. Nope, just because they happen to sell the most popular brand or one of the most popular brand of guns in this country. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Meanwhile, gang members and drug traffickers actually using the switches, they're not going to be touched, not by this lawsuit. This lawsuit has nothing to do with that. This is disgusting. She said, but we need to go after the gun manufacturers and the offenders.
Your critics will look at this and say you should be focused on holding offenders accountable who actually convert the handguns as opposed to the manufacturer. What would you say to that?
It's both. We must go what is maybe called upstream to where the source is, where these are designed and put into the market. And they are done so by Glock, and they know that their design is so susceptible to this easy conversion, and that's what we're taking issue with.
Okay, so let's say they were to redesign and then someone else comes up with some device that's able to hack the gun into something else. They have to redesign again because Ann Davison, it depends on if Ann Davison's up for re-election. This is a shocking abuse of power. It is. This is an abuse of power. This is a misuse of her office. And it undermines the rights of gun owners. It undermines and jeopardizes small businesses. Ironically, businesses that provide not just jobs, but training on how to properly use guns. This is disgusting. I expected more from Ann Davison. She has shown herself in the past to stand up to the progressive orthodoxy. She has shown herself in the past to say, you know what? I'm not going to decriminalize. I'm actually going to enforce the law. And kudos for her doing that. This case is a surrender. A frivolous attempt to placate people who cannot be placated. And it comes at the expense of the Constitution, of small business owners, and citizens who actually follow the law. Seattle's not safer because of this lawsuit. It's weaker. This isn't just shameful. This is selfish. That she's willing to try to destroy local businesses so that she can get some extra press to help her re-election campaign. That's wrong. And I say this as someone who is a fan of hers otherwise. This, however, she lost me as a voter. Now, is it a little bit easier for me to say that, knowing that she's not going to win? Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie. It's easier for me to say that. I wish that weren't the case because, again, her opponent is way worse. Way worse. We're going to go back. We're taking huge steps backward without Ann Davison. This is a disgusting and disturbing attempt to try to impact this election, and I can't be okay with that. I'm not okay with you trying to destroy small businesses or go after gun rights because you think it's part of the greater good to stay in office and go after criminals. Yeah, sorry. Principles are a little bit more important to me.
Download the smartphone app to take Seattle Red with you everywhere you go. With Seattle Red in your pocket, you can read up on the latest news and opinion and stream your favorite shows 24/7. Download now to stay connected with Seattle Red anytime, anywhere.